Welcome back to the series covering the cancelled DCU projects. This time, we will be going through the entire rest of the list that I have in what I am calling the deluxe edition of this long running series. We're starting off with Green Lantern. Now, there were early live action attempts from both Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith that were approached early on, and another script was penned with Jack Black in mind to be more comedic, but this was canned, and obviously a lot of that was probably canned because of the 2011 movie, and also the 2011 movie maybe not necessarily doing as well. So I've heard. Green Lantern First Flight sequel would have been a follow up to the DVD hit, but poor sales of the DVD killed the production. There were going to be sequels to Green Lantern 2011. Before the release of the film, everyone believed it would be the first in a trilogy and the first in a new DC universe. It would see the Sinestro Corps as the main focus, which was teased at the end of the first. But of course, the horrible performance and reception of the film meant that this one never came to be. There was going to be another victim of the failure of the WB and the DCU was a reboot. Never got past the initial concept as COVID stalled anything, and it was eventually scrapped. Though a similar idea may be being reworked into the James Gunn Lantern show releasing next year, and there was going to be a Sinestro Corps War film. The head of DC, Dan Didio, he wanted to adapt the 2007 to 2008 storyline, but nothing else could be found on it. Now, moving on to Green Arrow, there was going to be a filmation series, another 1960s consideration following the success of Superman, Aquaman, Hour of Adventure. Nothing ever came out of it. There was going to be a live action series in the 1990s. There was going to be a movie called Green Arrow Escape from Supermax, which would have seen Green Arrow forced to escape from prison after being arrested. Joker, Lex Luthor, and Riddler were to appear, and though the movie was never made, the idea was reworked for the seventh season of Arrow. There was going to be an untitled animated film by guess who? Bruce Timm. God damn it. He wanted to do a Green Lantern animated film. It was going to be a Smallville Green Arrow spin-off. Once again, there was talk of spinning Green Arrow into his own series. The series would have had Oliver act as a Professor X figure who took in new characters and trained them, including appearances from Teen Titans and other DC characters. Although, according to the actor, they had the actor of Green Arrow, it never got past an idea phase. Green Arrow and the Canaries was a backdoor pilot in season 8 of The Arrow, of a female-led Arrow show beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic was probably the main reason why this wasn't picked up. And then obviously the CW came to an end a couple of years ago, so it's never going to probably be picked up again. Moving on to Cyborg, there was a Cyborg TV series, and Drake of all people wanted to play the character. So yeah, no. The DCEU was going to have a Cyborg film. The most shafted character in the DCEU would have had his own film if not for the issues discussed so many times already, and the actor's disagreement with WB and DC meant this one was never going to happen. Now, Dead Man was going to have a film by Guillermo del Toro, of course, the man who cannot make anything or get anything made, wanted to produce a Dead Man film, and this one hasn't been cancelled, but nothing has happened since its inception. There was going to be a Dead Man TV series with the success of the 2000s X-Men. A TV film was announced as a pilot for the series with Eric Kripke of Supernatural attached to the project. The CW was going to air it, but another show came along and bumped this one aside. So I reckon that one actually could have done quite well. Eric Kripke, I think, could have done a pretty good job of landing it pretty well. Now, there was going to be a Ronin film, which was going to be done by Aronofsky, and it was signed a deal by a New Line, and it was going to be an adaptation of the graphic novel. The producers of 300 and Stomp the Yard were also attached in 2007, but nothing else has come of it since. In April 2014, the Sci-Fi Channel revealed the intention to produce a series about Ronin, and once again, no news came after that. Now, Static Shock had a few things happen. There was going to be a TV series in 2014, and it was going to launch a live action series with Jaden Smith attached to play the titular role, though once again, nothing came of it after its announcement. There was going to be an animated direct-to-video movie. There was discussions in 2017 about Static joining either the DCAU or the DC animated original movies, but nothing ever came of that. There was also going to be a DCEU Static film, and at DC Fandom 2020, a live-action Static film was revealed to be in development with Michael B. Jordan as a part of the production team. This one is not cancelled, but nothing has happened. It actually could be brought back into the new DCU if James Gunn is doing Teen Titans. Now, Lobo was going to have a comedic Lobo film with Joel Silver attached to the 1990s, but I think this one wouldn't have worked because I don't think Lobo was really a comedic character. There was going to be an animated series, and his appearance in Superman the Animated Series meant that there was going to be a show in development, but due to executive issues, it was converted into an adult-oriented Flash web series in the 2000s. Lobo TV series spin-off was a spin-off from season 2 of Krypton on the Sci-Fi Channel, but this one did not last more than 2 months before it was cancelled. Lobo and Crush was Olin Rogers' pitch about an adult animated series based on Lobo and his daughter Crush to WB before it was cancelled in 2020, as a lot of things were due to the pandemic. The DCU Lobo film was in 2009. Guy Ritchie was attached to the project with Dwayne Johnson to star. It went through various iterations, including in 2018 with Michael Bay attached to direct. In 2022, Jason Momoa was attached to star, and he is going to be now doing it in Supergirl. He'll be playing Lobo in Supergirl, and also I think he has his own Lobo movie in development. So, Our Man had a TV series in November 2013. It was going to be a live-action series in the works at CW. It was here troubled pharmaceutical analysis discovers the visions that plagued him as a child are events that will take place 1 hour in the future. Since then, there has been no progress on the show. I reckon it'll be cancelled since a lot of the CW DC stuff is finished. He did appear in the in DC Legends of Tomorrow. He was only there for a couple of episodes though. Now there was going to be an movie centering around Owlman for the DCEU in 2021. I think that the fact that it's a DCU movie speaks for itself. The New Gods were going to have an animated film from GM DeMatteis, which was going to be for the DCAU. There was also going to be a DCU New Gods film. There was a script and a plan in 2018 for a film centered around the New Gods. Darkseid would have been the villain, with the female Furies appearing in 2020. And in 2021 it was put on hold due to Darkseid's appearance in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And it hasn't been cancelled yet, but I reckon it'll be reworked. We don't know what James Gunn's plan is for the DCU currently, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens with his DCU. So there may be a New Gods product in the future. Now, Suicide Squad actually did have a lot. There was going to be an Arrowverse Suicide Squad spin-off. The season 2 of Arrow, John Diggle's actor revealed talks about a spin-off focusing on CW's version of Suicide Squad. However, it was put on hold due to the production of 2016 Suicide Squad, and the inclusion on the team was actually a test for the film in the show. Now, there was going to be a ton of spin-offs from the DCEU Suicide Squad film. There was going to be a Deadshot film focusing on Will Smith's character, but this was put on hold due to scheduling conflicts with Will Smith, which is why he was written out of the sequel, and the project was put on hold in 2022 to allow Smith to return in the DCU, though I don't think he is going to. Gotham City Sirens was a team consisting of Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman. Margot Robbie and Jared Leto would return, but the project was put on hold in favor of Birds of Prey movie. The project was still pushed to explore the relationship between Catwoman and Harley Quinn. There was a planned spin-off called Harley Quinn versus the Joker. The script was finished in 2018, but then they cancelled it in 2019 in favor of Birds of Prey. Not entirely sure whether or not that was a worthy sacrifice or not. There was going to be the Suicide Squad sequel and spin-offs, and Gunn had ideas that would be for the new Suicide Squad, as well as several other spin-offs like Peacemaker, about the characters like Bloodsport and Ratcatcher. Could still happen, since Peacemaker is canon to his new universe. I guess we'll have to see what happens after Peacemaker Season 2, and what he announces that's going to come next in his DC universe. So, Starman is apparently a character that exists. There was going to be a television series produced in 2003 by the man behind Smallville and Birds of Prey, but was put indefinitely on hold after the failure of Birds of Prey. Story would have focused on Jack Knight and his father in Opal City. There was going to be a live-action web series with Machinima and DC were producing a web series about Starman titled DC's Hero Project, but nothing ever came of it after its announcement. Now, Doom Patrol were going to have a series by Filmation as well. The success of Superman, Aquaman, Hour of Adventure had already birthed several potential projects, one of which was a Doom Patrol animated series, but CBS owned the rights to Batman and other DC characters, so nothing ever came of it. There was going to be a 2006 Doom Patrol film by Warner Brothers, and they hired Adam Turner to write the script. but no directors or cast was hired, so it was eventually cancelled. Metal Men, who I've never heard of before, we're going to be getting a series by Filmation as well. The success of all of these other works has kept leading to them developing pilots for multiple other shows, but all of these were cancelled because CBS gained the rights to Batman and many other characters after ABC's success with the 1966 Batman live-action show. And there was going to be a film in 2007, later in 2012. Director was attached, but it was put on hold in 2021, where it was then stated to be part of the DCEU. Can't imagine why this one was cancelled, can you? The Blackhawks were going to have an animated series, and by Filmation again in 1968, presentation drawings that seemed to intended to convince CBS of the viability of other animated projects, but never got past the initial phase. There was going to be a 1980s attempt by Steven Spielberg, of all people, to adapt the comic series, with Dan Aykroyd attached to the project, but Spielberg instead went with when it made Raiders, and it was revived in 2018 with Spielberg coming back, but hasn't had much happen since then. It actually could still happen though, so we'll have to see what happens. There was going to be a Swamp Thing reboot in 2009, which plans to reboot the original Wes Craven Swamp Thing, but it was delayed in 2012 to focus on other works. And whilst nothing has come of this, there is another reboot slated for the DCU, and there was going to be a cancelled Swamp Thing spin-off before the 2019 series was cancelled. There were plans to introduce the rest of Justice League Dark and create a spin-off series about them. I believe that seems to be the plan that they're going for the DCU, given his inclusion in the current slate. Shazam, Captain Marvel / Shazam had many shows pitched in 1999. That was pitched to Cartoon Network, combining Bruce Timm and Powerpuff Girl styles, but that was shelved for unknown reasons. There was early attempts at a Shazam film, went through several iterations before we got the final version, including the version that would have seen him fight Black Adam. It took many years, but I still think the version we got was still good, like the 2019 one, but I think Black Adam needed to be the main villain, and it needed to be a little bit more serious, and there were plans for a Black Adam follow-up and crossovers to fight Shazam and Superman, but obviously the failure of Black Adam quickly shut those ideas down, much to the Henry Cavill fans' dislike. The Wonder Twins were going to have a series called Powers Activated, with Kat Hudson of Superhero Girls fame, developed a full pitch for the show, but it was never picked up. DCEU Wonder Twins film was going to be a HBO Max production like Batgirl in 2022, and it had the Twins cast, but it was the appointment of Zaslav and the merger of WB and Discovery Inc. that led to one this being cancelled for similar reasons to Batgirl, except this one wasn't anywhere near as complete. Fuck WB. Dial H for Hero, who I've also never heard of. Dial H for Hero animated series by Marv Wolfman, and it was pitched to Hanna-Barbera alongside Teen Titans back in the 80s. Number 4 Hero live action series, Machinima and DC were producing a web series about Dial H for Hero, with a VFX heavy comedy about a phone that grants semi-useful superpowers, but since then no production announcements have been made. Now, there's just a whole list of other ones that kind of didn't have more than one or two options. So there was an early draft and attempt at a Watchmen live action before Zack Snyder's version came out. Booster Gold, this one have also been on the Sci-Fi Channel in 2011 with a pilot script produced, but nothing ever came of it. This one will also be in the DCU, however, but I'm guessing altered slightly. It may actually even be its own new thing, not based on any previous script. Unlimited Powers was a series containing the Flash, Green Arrow's daughter, Dr. Occult, Block from Legend League of Monsters, but that never got past the script phase. So there was going to be a Zatanna film in 2005, penned by the scriptwriter for Ice Princess, and then another attempt for the DCU, of course, in 2018 for Max, and it was scrapped for Max in 2022. There was going to be a Blue Beetle TV series about Jaime Reyes' version for the movie, and a pilot created was shown during the DC Showcase block on Cartoon Network in 2012, though nothing ever came of it. And finally, there was a Spectre TV series, which Fox announced this one back in 2011, but nothing has happened since. This has been an almighty task covering all of DC's cancelled projects. It's kind of depressing seeing it because it seems like there was a lot of really interesting ideas that they had, but WB's ownership of it has kind of been the reason why it's not done very well and not been able to explore many of those ideas. I'm shocked Bruce Timm has had as few ideas as he did, given how successful Superman and Batman were and how successful Batman the Cape Crusader is now. it's just I'm so shocked at the sheer number of them. Like, it's insane. I do kind of want to do more of these covering canceled like projects. So I'm gonna start moving on to doing lists of canceled movies. I'm There's a lot to cover with those, so I'm gonna try and split it into as many different parts as possible to try and make it easier on myself because otherwise I will be there for like hours. My videos will be hours long. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys learnt a lot, and I hope you guys hate WB as much as I do for all of the bad things that they have done for DC.